Hello people, this is SelfTurts and in this video we are going to learn about kwargs argument in Python. Most of the beginners find it difficult to understand the kwargs and args parameters inside a function, but I will make it easy for you to understand. So the best way to understand is what? To do some coding or to see some demo in which we can demonstrate what is kwargs. So I'll go to my terminal here and these are the files on which we have worked previously. I'll create a new file as kwargs.py. So the .py file says what it is, extension says it is a Python file. Now what I'll do, I'll write a add function. So we have seen in the previous videos that we can define an add function as a comma b, and then inside the function I'll just do print statement. So I'm not doing anything, so I'll say print a and then print b, and then what I'll do, I'll call this function with some parameter, that is a and b equal to 2 and then 3, and then on the right hand side I'll come here, I'll say source b env bin activate. I'll activate my virtual environment and I'll run the file python and then kwargs.py. So this gives me the output as 2 and 3 here. You can see 2 and 3 because I'm calling this function with 2 and 3 as my argument. Now, the other thing that we have learned here is what? We can provide any arbitrary argument. So how to provide? In the last video, we have only seen we can provide arbitrary argument. So we can provide arbitrary argument by what? A comma b star args. And then what we'll do? We'll print star args. So we'll say args here, and then what we can do now, we'll run this file on the right hand side. So you can see 2 3 and star args is what? Empty. So it is printing empty tuple here, you can see. Now what I'll do, I'll provide some values here. So the values will be what? 1 comma 1 comma 2. So I'll run this file and this time you can see 2 is there, 3 is there, because these are mandatory parameter. It has to be present while calling my function. So when I'm calling, these two parameters will by default get assigned to what? A and b. So 2 is here and 3 is here, and then I'm providing what? 1 1 and 2. So it will come inside this args variable. So you can see here args variable is having 1 1 and 2. So up to this everything is clear. Then the third argument that we have seen is the default value argument. So we'll provide a default value argument as c, and then we'll say print, and then we'll provide the print the value of c. So the first time we'll save it and we'll print it here, and this time you can see c is getting a value of 10. So the first statement prints a, b, and then args and c. So a gets a value of 2, a gets a value of 2, b gets a value of 3. The star args gets a value of 1 1 1 1 1 and 2, and then since c is there, which is we are not passing anything as c, and we have not provided any named argument in this, so the arguments will be unpacked in the same sequence. So 2 and 3 will come here, and then star args will have all these 3 values, and then 10 will be the default value that will be assigned to c, because here we have assigned a default value and we are printing it here. Up to this it is clear. Now, how to provide named arguments which are also arbitrary? So in this case, what we are doing, we are providing unnamed argument. So there is no name like d equal to 1, e equal to 1, and f equal to 2. We are providing just the argument and they are getting inside my star args. But how to provide arguments which are named? So those named argument will come where? It will come inside my star kwargs. So one thing which is important to understand, the name can be anything. So it can be args, you can replace it here with pqr or anything, and this kwargs can be anything. But in Python world, we follow this notion that the args, that is arbitrary argument, is written like star args, and this arbitrary named arguments are written as star kwargs. So I'll print this kwargs also. So I'll say print and then kwargs. So I'll save it, I'll run this file. So this time what you can see, 2a112. So for your betterment, what I'll do, I'll say a equal to, and then I'll provide this pretty format. So I'll say format, and then here a. Same way I'll delete these lines. I'll say yank, and then I'll say b equal to what here, b, and then args, and then here I'll say args. So for better understanding, then I'll say c, and then format c, and then I'll say kw args, and here it will be what, kw args. So I'll again print this, and this time you can see a gets a value of 2, b gets a value of 3, args get a value of 112, c gets a value of 10, and kw args gets a value of empty dictionary. So one thing that is important to understand that star args is a tuple and the kw args is a dictionary. So why it is so? Because in dictionary we can store name value pairs. Now what I'll do, I'll provide some arbitrary value. So let's say the arbitrary value is how much, h equal to 12, and then g equal to 10. One thing important to note is what, there is a named variable c, but I'm not writing it here. Okay, so let's see what will happen. This time you can see a equal to 2, b equal to 3. So the first two arguments, then these three arguments are coming inside what, args 1, 1, 2. Then c, because I'm not passing c as a named argument, so I'll get a default value of what, c, for default value 10. So c is coming as 10, and then the rest named value parameters will come inside kw args. Now it is important to understand that the arbitrary named parameters come inside kw args, and arbitrary parameter which don't have any name come inside this star args. Again I'm repeating, arbitrary named parameters are unpacked or are put inside this star kw args. So here you can see I'm printing kw args, and you are getting the value h equal to 12, g equal to 10. But I'm not defining in my function that anywhere it is h or g. But when I'm passing, since it is star kw args is present here, so it will give me, it will put these values, that is arbitrary named parameter, inside kw args, and arbitrary unnamed parameter here 112 will come inside star args. Now what we'll do, we'll provide the value of c also. So what we'll do, we'll say c equal to 100, and then I'll print it. So c gets a value of 100. So it is important to understand that if the named argument is present, is defined in the function definition, so anywhere if you are passing the named argument, then it will take that value. So c I am passing after the arbitrary named parameter, then also c is getting a value of 100 here, you can see. Now can I change this sequence? So suppose I want to put this h and g before the arbitrary unnamed parameter. So let's see what happens. I'll run here, and this will give me an error that non-keyword args after arg. So the important thing you need to keep in mind that you need, when you are calling a function, then first you need to provide the mandatory parameter, then you need to provide the arbitrary unnamed parameter, then you can provide named parameter, arbitrary or named parameter that is defined. So the named parameter here, it is defined one which you can pass, which can be passed later on. There is no issue with that, but the unnamed parameter should be passed in sequence and the mandatory parameter should be passed first. Okay, so this is the point. Now what will happen, I'll change the position of these two. Since I'm giving you a detailed explanation, so I'm doing all these demos. Now what I'll do, I'll again print it, and this time what it is saying invalid syntax because it is a comma here. Okay, so I again save it, I'll come here, and this time invalid syntax. Okay, so it is giving me invalid syntax. So why it is invalid? Because once you have defined kw args, you can't put the named parameters after that. So if I'll again move it here, so I'll say c equal to 10 and I'll move that value here, I'll put a comma and then again this, and then I'll save it and I'll run it, then it will run fine. So again, while defining the function, kw args will come at the last. So you have understood, I think you have understood. So the kw args, while defining, it will come at the last. The named default parameter will come before kw args. It can come before this also. C can come before star args also, which you have seen previously. But when unpacking will be done, it will be done in sequence. if the parameter values are not given. But if you have defined the parameter values as gc, so we can juggle it, like we can say g equal to here after c, so we can say g equal to 111 after c. So we'll print it and this will run fine. So named parameter arbitrary and named parameter default. So this is named parameter default, this is named parameter arbitrary, can be jumbled at the last, but they need to be present at the last after the mandatory parameter and after unnamed arbitrary parameter. So if you have any confusion in this, you can write into my comment, we can do some discussion on it. And if you liked my video, if you have understood this concept, we'll see later on where we'll use these kind of things. We'll create some application, we'll do some coding, we'll create classes and then objects. Then we'll see that where these star args, star kw args can be used. The star args, yeah, I think you have seen that if you want to create an intelligent add function which can take any number of argument and print the result of the sum of those number or those argument, then you can use this star args. But for the implementation of star kw args, we'll see later in our videos. So hope you like this video, hope you like my channel. Please subscribe to my channel and please share these videos with other people. Thank you.